Today, Riley, turn it around, have your plan out, and next time I'll mark you. Today we should be on lesson 4.5, and we are going to work by starting with our warm-up, solving the equation. I'll do the first one with you. It says solve the equation for y. What that means is I want my answer to be y equals. So it's just like solving a regular equation. Okay, you can use it. Blank is going to help you. So if I look at this, I'm going to zoom in. It's just like we did regular equations. I want to get y all by itself. Right now I'm adding an x, so I'm going to subtract x from each side. And I'll have y negative x plus 4. Okay, I'm done. Y is solved for. So my answer is y equals negative x plus 4. This is slope-intercept form. Do not forget that slope-intercept form slope-intercept is y equals mx plus b. Now, because of this, I can graph this equation. It is very easy. I know my slope, which we show with m, is what comes right before the x. Well, how many x's do I have? We have 1. And it's a negative. So my slope is negative 1. My y-intercept. Remember, slope is what comes before our x. And then this is our y-intercept. So my y-intercept was positive 4. I'm going to pause. I want you all to work on number 2. It says 2x plus y equals 10. If you have yours done, go ahead and turn it to your neighbor. Help him or her if they are stuck. Okay? This is where you are allowed to talk in class. Okay, how do we go ahead and solve this? You should have been talking to neighbors. You should have at least a plan. Alejandra? No for that. All right, say it again, Alejandra. Yeah, we're going to subtract 2x from the sides. So those would cancel each other out. I have y negative 2x plus 10. I know one of the mistakes was people a lot of times want to say 8x. Remember, I cannot subtract the negative 2 and the 10. They are not the same. One is a variable, one is a constant. So I have y equals negative 2x plus 10. Good. Y equals negative 2x plus 10. What is my slope? What is my slope on this? Charles? Nope. Tyler? Good. And we don't have to say the x. It's just the constant or the coefficient that comes right before our x. Our slope is negative 2. If it helps you, we can write it as negative 2 over 1. If you want to write as a fraction so you see your rise over your run. I'm going to go over that in just a second. B. What is our y-intercept? Gavin? Positive 10. You can write 10. If you want to write positive 10, you can. This should be easy to graph now. So I'm going to look at my, okay. I'm going to go over here because I'm going to show this to you. When I need something, I went to Google and I just did grid, and then I went to images. I'm going to copy this image, come in here, make sure I'm clicked there, and I'm going to paste it. Oh, I made it really big. All right. So, following along with this, we are now going to graph this. What are you playing with? You going to play out?
Playing Minecraft. Oh, will Minecraft.
You're playing around again.
Bro, you need to relax on that Minecraft.
We on Minecraft. This boy,
You're not even
Boy,
going
Minecraft.
this boy Dylan is the biggest fish I've ever heard in my life.
DeMar, have your playing around. Okay. Looking at this, what we're going to do to graph this.
How'd you get that?
Alright. The two things we need to know to graph we have right in front of us. Our y-intercept is 10. Which means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ooh, I'm right at the end. Y-intercept is where does it cross the y-axis. So, I cross at 0, negative 10. I don't know why I said negative. Positive 10. I don't need the positive up there. But our y-intercept crosses our y-axis at 10. That's what you told me because of this equation. Because of that. I plot that point. Because of that, I can find every other point with my slope. My slope was negative 2. And we said negative 2 over 1. That's rise over run. So I'm going to go down 2. 1, 2. Over 1. 1. There's my new point. My slope is negative 2, 1. 1, 2. Over 1. There's another point. Because I have that, I can now just draw a line through there. That is how we graph this. If you know your y-intercept and you know your slope, you can graph anything. On today's lesson, we are saying I will graph linear equations in standard form. You're seeing they are talking about another form. Huge hint, we are going to do it the same way though. It says, standard form of linear equation. A standard form of a linear equation is ax plus by equals c. Mainly, I'm going to look at it like this. X plus y equals c. X and y are our coordinates, and c is going to end up being our intercept, you'll see. The reason we have the other variables a and b is because they're saying I can have any coefficient in front of x. I can have any different coefficient in front of my y. Okay? Here's how we solve them. We're going to do two methods today. You have to know both of them. At today's lesson, at the end, and huge hint on your pop quiz, you are going to have to go from standard form and graph. And it's very easy. Example 1 shows you how to do it. When you get stuck, go back to this. It says, graph negative 2x plus 3y equals negative 6. The way we do that is exactly how you did your warm-up. We're going to do exactly what we did in our warm-up activity. We are going to solve for y. You are going to write in slope-intercept form. We wanted to say y equals mx plus b. This is what you did in warm-up. The equation was negative 2x plus 3y equals negative 6. Okay? I want to solve for y. So I would add 2x to each side of the equal sign. When they did that, that's how they ended up with 3y equals 2x minus 6 because these canceled each other out and I added a 2x. Okay? This is telling me what 3 of the y's equal. I don't even want to know what 1 of the y's equal. So we go ahead and we divide by 3. And when I do 3y divided by 3, they cancel out and I get just y. 2x divided by 3, I can't do 2 divided by 3. So I get the fraction 2/3 x. And I have negative 6 divided by 3, which leaves me with just negative 2. That is in slope-intercept form. Now that I have it in slope-intercept form, what is my slope? Charles.
Oh.
Nope, we don't have a positive
I
2x.
mean,
Right?
it's 2/3.
Okay. Here's our slope. It's whatever's right in front of our x. Our slope is 2/3. What is our y-intercept? Bryce? Good. It's that part. Y-intercept is negative 2. If we scroll down, they show us the exact same thing. Slope is 2/3. Y-intercept is negative 2. All right, let's sit up and pay attention, bud. Now, the last thing you have to do is we're going to graph it. And graphing it, like we just did, once you know the y-intercept and the slope, it's easy. We will go in order. So make sure you're taking notes with me. Don't just watch me do it. We don't learn this by watching someone do something. We actually have to do it. Do the writing with me. First step. First thing you want to do is plot your y-intercept. Because my y-intercept is negative 2, that tells me it crosses the y-axis at negative 2. So here's my y-axis. It's right here at negative 2. Its coordinates are 0, negative 2. Remember, y-intercept, its x coordinates always 0 because we're not moving away from that y-axis. After we plot that point, second thing, we're going to use the slope. Well, our slope was 2/3. So I'm going to write right here. Slope was 2/3, which is rise over run. I go from my y-intercept, and I'm going to rise 2. 1, 2. I'm going to run 3, positive. 1, 2, 3. I end up right here, and that new coordinate is 3, 0. The last step, well, I've plotted one point. I found a second point by the slope. Now that I have 2 points, I can make a straight line. So I just make a line going through my 2 points. And that's all there is to it. Okay? We are going to do one other example. If you look at how big Ideas is, they show you one example, they do it with you. Technically, this is supposed to be your homework where you actually do 1 through 4. But I'm going to go in here.
Make it another one.
I want to paste my grid in here.
Stop talking.
Alright. So, let's do this one together now. Let's do... let's do number 3. What's the first thing you think you have to do to answer number 3? Turn, target a neighbor. I'm going to call on someone in 15 seconds, and you should have the answer. What's the first thing we're going to have to do?
Number 3.
Number
Okay, who thinks they figured out what are we going to do first? Michael? Alright, so essentially what you're saying is I'm rewriting, this is in standard form, and we're going to slope-intercept form, right? Good. So Michael is saying I need to add 2/3 x, add 2/3 x. Perfect. This was standard form. That's what the quiz is today. Your quiz, your challenge is, can I take a standard form and graph it? To do so, I have to write in slope-intercept form. I then have y, and I have 2/3 x. So my equation is y equals 2/3 x. Okay? So that's in slope-intercept form. What do I know now? There's always 2 things I know. What are the 2 things I know? Ooh, I have 2 suckers up here. I'll give a sucker for each idea. Tyler, what's one thing you know? Close, but no. Really close. Alright, Cohen, what's one thing you know?
The slope.
Okay, what is the slope?
2/3.
The slope is 2/3,
Yes, sir.
which is the same, remember, r rise over r run. That's what slope is. Okay, so Cohen knows our slope was 2/3. So Tyler, you were so close. Did you figure out the other thing? There you go. I hope everyone heard that. Our y-intercept is 0. Why is it 0? There's nothing after our x. So this is that one we did that I said was like direct variation, our proportional equation one we did, that it's going to go through the origin. So using that 2 pieces of information, we should easily be able to graph this. The first thing is, what's the first point we... Oh, I got suckers over here. What is the first thing that we should do on our graph? How do I graph this now? Alejandra?
Please excuse the interruption. Mrs. Clemens, please come to the office. Mrs. Clemens, please come to the office.
Alejandro, what's the first thing we do? Nope. Can't do our slope yet. Rylan? Good. First thing is, we have to do our y-intercept. It's 0. Good, I have 1 point. Can I make my line now with 1 point?
No, you have to have 3.
No. We should have 3. We always want 3. That's my goal. We could do it with 2, but 3, make sure you did it right.
2.
So what's the next thing? I found my y-intercept. Charles? Nope, not my x-intercept. We don't know that yet. Braden?
You have to be like your next 3.
Okay, how do I do that?
You make your chart thing.
Nope. Don't even have to make a chart. Michael? Good. First, Charles, listen so you get this right. First, we did our y-intercept. For our next point, we use our slope. Our slope was 2/3. I'm going to do it over here. 2/3. Rise run. So I'm going to go from this point, I'm going to rise 2. 1, 2. I'm going to run 3. 1, 2, 3. So my next point is right here. To be honest, I can graph this line now. There's 2 points, I can graph it. Blake was right though, I like having 3. So can I do another one? Well, yeah.
Sure.
I mean, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. So now I'm here. Can I do a 4th, a 5th, a 6th, a 7th? All I have to keep doing is going up 2 over 3, up 2 over 3. Charles, that was spot on. I could do infinity. I never have to stop. I just always go up to it over 3. Now that I'll give you a sucker, Charles.
Oh, really?
Now I do my line through my points. That is how we graph from standard form. So, from standard form, we did this first. We wrote the equation in slope-intercept form. Once we did that, second step, we used the slope and y-intercept to graph it. We marked the y-intercept, we marked another point because of slope, and you make your line. You're done. That's all there is to it. You've been able to do this. You can do this. So that is our first method. We have to look at one other method. The other method, and you're going to have to use it because, to be honest, you can use either method. And if I give you a quiz and I say, graph this line from standard form, you can use either method, whichever one makes more sense to you and it's easier. Here's our line we want to graph. X plus 3y equals negative 3. We are going to graph it using intercepts. Intercepts. We are going to find, we need 2 points to make a line. We are going to use the points from our x-intercept and our y-intercept. Alright, we're going to focus on just the x first. This really doesn't take us long. To find the x-intercept, y becomes 0. Well, that should make sense to you guys, because if here's my grid, this is my x-coordinate. Remember, to be on my line where it crosses my x-axis, it can't go up or down. Because if I go up one, I'm off the x-axis. I'm not crossing it anymore. So my y, when I do this, when I list my coordinates, my y-coordinate is automatically 0. And if I know that, I can solve for x. We just substitute 0 in for y. Here was our original equation. It's just like it was up there. X plus 3y equals negative 3. We are going to put 0 in for y. So I see they did x plus 3 times 0. What is 3 times 0? Well, it's nothing. The only thing I have left is x equals negative 3.
That's the answer.
That's my answer. My x-coordinate is at negative 3, 0. That means it crosses my x-axis at, this should be, this point right here should be negative 3, 0. We are going to scroll over to the y-intercept. It's the exact opposite. This time, we want to cross my y-axis. So I'm going to find a point. It's going to be on there somewhere. The way I do that is I'm going to substitute 0 in for x. Here's our original equation, the same one we used, the same one that's here, here, and here. X plus 3y equals negative 3. We made x 0. 0 plus 3y is just 3y. And I don't want to know what 3y is. So they divided by 3. So I have to divide by 3 on the other side. 3y divided by 3 is y. Negative 3 divided by 3 is negative 1. Well, that means my x or my y-intercept, x coordinate was 0, and it's negative 1. This point should be 0, negative 1. We have just found 2 points. Our x-intercept and our y-intercept. If you look at how they graph this, here's where they put their x-intercept, negative 3, 0. Here's where they put their y-intercept, 0, negative 1. We can draw a line through these 2 points now. And you are done. That's all you're going to have to do. So we have 2 methods that we had to learn today. One, you're taking standard form, writing in a slope-intercept form, and then you just plot the y-intercept and use the slope to give you your next one. The second way, we identified our x-intercept by setting y to 0, and then we found our y-intercept by making x 0. Plot the 2 points and draw your line. That is what you are going to do for me today. Tomorrow's homework is a completion score, but you will be getting a quiz this week, real soon. And you have to show if you understand this. Your homework, remember, don't pay attention to this, we're doing it different. Your homework, on Friday, you did 1 through 6. So if you did your homework like you were supposed to, you are done with that part. You are then doing 9 through 18 and 20 through 22. It is only about 13 questions if you already did your 1 through 6 like you were supposed to. You do, before you guys move on 9 through 11, this is exactly like your warm-up that we did. All you're doing is writing a slope-intercept form. 12 through 14, you must graph. So either put a grid on here like I did, or get grid paper. And, hold on, Blake. 20 through 22, you are graphing, but you have to use the intercept form. Okay?